All right, while we're waiting, can I just have everybody make sure that you are on mute before we begin? You'll find the mute button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. If anybody else joins later, that's okay. This is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch it at a later time. So welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining. Today we're going to be talking about what you need to know for a successful school year at Jenks. We're going to have a couple of speakers today. Mrs. Moore is going to be talking about expectations for students in virtual learning. Mrs. Goldsmith is going to be giving us a media tour and some more useful information to where you can find everything you need to know in order for your student to be successful in virtual learning. And then I will be talking a little bit about weekly parent meetings that we're going to be having. That way, if you have any questions and need them answered weekly, it'll just be a nice additional way for you to have some communication with your child's teacher. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Moore, and she's going to give some information about expectations.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm glad you all could join us. We decided to put these together so that we could all be on the same page and make sure that this very unusual start of a school year is going to be this best we can make it. I think it's very important that we understand that this is school and that it is a brand new school year, and we should, still take those first day of school pictures and make it something really special and unique as you would any other start of the school year, especially for the little kids, because I know that my daughter, who's now going into be in 10th grade, still has to pose for her first day of school picture. But make it something that they are going to understand the importance of our day. I know when we started, when we left school in March, it was all a very quick and uncertain time, and then we just kind of rallied and put something together. But this start of the school year is really treating the school day as a full day. There will be times where they will be in front of the camera with the teacher, and then there will be times when they're not, but they're still expected to be learning, and all of the teachers will be providing you with schedules and so that you know what your children will be doing. Mrs. Goldsmith will be going through the Google Classroom, and that will be the platform that we will be using again. But I'm here to talk about what you can do to make it a relevant kind of day. A couple of things. I have, can I share now?
Mm-hmm. You should be able to.
Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, sorry, let's see if I can.
You're fine. And parents, if you do have any questions during this, feel free to use the chat feature on here, and I will try and answer them as we are presenting. If we get a lot of questions, make sure that if it's not answered today, that you have it written down somewhere so that we can answer it at a later time, because we are trying to keep these meetings as close to 30-45 minutes as possible.
Yeah. So on this first slide is just, and we'll have this up so that you can use it, but it's just some pointers about how to be successful. Create a learning space. The next couple of slides show, it's not letting me, there we go. Some ideas for creating a space where you could get a trifold board, maybe some, things that make your child's learning space unique and private to them. And when they're in that space, that they're focused and that they're following along. And then, you know, at the end of the school day, pack it up, put it away in a corner, and then bring it back out. So make sure that, you know, your Chromebook is charged. If the teacher provides, you know, different materials that, you know, that are going to be resources, you can put it out here. You don't have to do this, but this is just something that I came across that I thought this was a really great idea to make it something really special and unique, a little positive affirmations and things like that. So going back here, you know, treat it like a regular school day, you know, like you're going to school and have a great day. At the end of the day, hey, what made you feel magnificent today? What did you learn? You know, what are some things that you went over today? Make sure that your child and your whole family has time, you know, to get outside and burn some energy and you know, keep themselves going. In the school day, in the schedule, there is a lunch period. So, you know, there's already a defined time for them to have lunch. So, and we tried to keep it in the same block for every student from K to 8. So, and then help them keep organized. Some of the things that, you know, you can go to the dollar store. Nothing has to be really expensive or elaborate. But, you know, get a bin for each of your children, and that's where all of their books are, because we will have a book distribution day and they will be getting textbooks that they will be using. So instead of them just being thrown somewhere, make sure there's a designated spot for all of their school materials, and that even though some kids love to play school, make sure that, you know, your school materials are for school and not necessarily for play. And one thing that's really important is to know that when your child's sitting in front of the computer and having lessons, they're not expected to go to mastery. You know, they're not expected to pick it up right away. You know, there will be days that they're practicing something over and over and over again. Let them practice, let them build their abilities and their knowledge, and encourage them. There's another thing that's here. You know, is my child ready to learn? You know, make sure that they get up, you know, as a normal school day. Make sure that they're dressed. I understand that uniforms are not required, but, you know, no pajamas, please, and make sure that they're dressed appropriately. Make sure that, you know, they have everything that they need, their materials, their books, a whiteboard and a marker and some, you know, water. You know, teachers will go through the routines and they'll know to be able to go to the bathroom or take a quick break. That's fine. Excuse me. One thing is to make sure that when they are, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. I don't know, excuse me. During the video learning and virtual learning, that they are wanting to try, and that they are answering. You know, I know that, you know, it's often we want our kids to be doing the right thing and doing the best thing, but, you know, we're going to be making this opportunity and this situation the most fun and the most relevant that we can, and we want the kids to enjoy it. So we are going to make sure that we do that through our, you know, the breaks in our schedule, that we're going to have them up and about and doing some brain breaks. If they're doing asynchronous learning and they're stuck on something and it's taking them far longer than they should, you know, the message should be, okay, well, you can go back and talk to your teacher and let them know what it is, and not in a, you know, a troublesome kind of way, or that they're in trouble. It's just like, you know, we want to be able to know where they're struggling and how to help them. So if we start that dialogue, that's great. And don't be worried if they're not getting something right away. You know, the first couple of weeks of school, we're going to be working on procedures and expectations and scheduling and how to use materials and things like that. And as the year builds, and hopefully we'll all be back in the classroom in November in some kind of way, we will be, on our way to really bringing the whole strong academics, but we will be doing that here. And it's just a matter of making sure that, the kids know that they are to complete all of their assignments and that they have open communication. And that's kind of why we are doing our weekly parent meetings to support you in any way. Some things that you can pick up at the dollar store. I don't know if you can see me. I don't need to share anymore. Let's see. I don't know how to get back on there. Oh, stop sharing. Here we go. A caddy for their pencils and the markers and things like that that they're going to need. Here are book bins. Just at the end of the learning session, just put everything back in and put it to the side. If you have any questions or any concerns about what the expectations are, just jot down your questions and we'll be glad to answer them. But I think I'm going to have to pass it over to Mrs. Goldsmith next. Thank you.
All right, Christina, can I have you can you switch me back to the host for just a second, please?
Sure, if you can tell me how to do that.
Go to my face and then you'll see the 3 dots at the top.
Oh, yeah. And then make host. Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sorry, there were some more people in the waiting room that I needed to accept. Let me look at these questions really quick before I switch it over to Mrs. Goldsmith. So we had a question about what is synchronous versus asynchronous learning. So what that is, let me share my screen with you. Since I teach kindergarten, I'm going to share the kindergarten schedule with you, but it might look different for each grade level. And these are not, sorry, go ahead.
No, just while you're doing that, I see there's a question about the weekly parent meetings. Each teacher is going to have a scheduled time. It's going to be the same time for that teacher. So you'll get that in the schedule with your child's classroom.
Yes, and I'll be talking about that shortly as well. So here is an example of, can everybody see this okay?
Yes.
Okay, here's an example of what a daily schedule might look like. So anything that is in yellow on this schedule is synchronous learning, which means that your child will be online live teaching with the teacher. So they will be on while the teacher is instructing. That way they can ask any questions and the teacher will be providing instruction. Anything that is in red on this schedule is asynchronous learning, which means the students will be working alone without the teacher, so they will not be on the computer live. So if you can notice, there are several red slots here on Friday. This is because all students will be dismissed at 12 p.m. on Friday. That's across the board because teachers will be having professional developments on Fridays. And then, as Christina was saying, we have a lunch scheduled and we also have a recess scheduled as well. That obviously is going to change per grade, but that is the kindergarten schedule. And here you will see the kindergarten schedule. We decided to hold our weekly parent meetings on Friday at 10:15 to 10:45. That's going to be our scheduled time. Every teacher might schedule theirs at a different time, just depending on what time works best for them with their instruction. So this is the time that worked best for us. We will be keeping it this time every week for every Friday. That way it does not get confusing for anybody. Your child's teacher will be reaching out to you soon this week to talk about and plan this parent meeting. Again, this is just a time for you to ask any questions. It will be over Zoom, so this will be a time for you to ask any questions, and the teachers will be able to give you the best possible answers that they can, just to make sure that there's open communication and everybody is remaining on the same page. So look out for that this week. Any sort of communication from your child's teacher, they should be reaching out to you about that parent meeting. Okay, let me stop sharing and I will switch it over to Mrs. Goldsmith. Okay.
All right. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. I'm just going to kind of give you a one-stop shop, kind of where a lot of our information is, if you didn't know it already, and kind of a lot of the links you can kind of walk through yourself. So I'm going to share, hopefully, my screen. I kind of have two because I can kind of give you it in two perspectives. So this is our website. If you haven't been here before, I will put the link in the chat when I'm done here. So it's kind of where everything you can kind of find, and that is kind of where we have anything that needs to be known right away, even links to other spots in our site. Everything here, when we did the online learning, everything that was kind of posted here went there to each different page. And actually what happens is there, if you also need to know in the About Us, we do have our faculty here. There is a list so that everybody that you need to know, their emails are here. So if you do need an email to get a hold of somebody, if they do have a web page, their link will be here as well. As far as the calendar, the only calendar I have right now is the districts. So the only link that's in there is the districts. We're still waiting to populate ours to see how the year goes. But if you want to see the district calendar and things like that, underneath the parents is a supply list. We did give some, that wasn't summer work, there was some kind of resources there if you wanted to. So, and it's actually also underneath the students if they wanted it. So if you need to see the school supply list, we do have, so right now we have the virtual supply list. So those teachers that gave their lists, their links will be here, and you can just click on the room. And when and if we return, obviously some lists will change because then we will be in person instead. So, I mean, obviously as we go through, if you want to see like even like the kindergarten list here, and it'll just let you know what's in here and anything that you might kind of need to go through into there. One of the other ones, I'm not sure if I can, so I do on my site, which will be linked in there. One of the things we have on the front was the information board. So this one's a really good, it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything you need to know. And these kind of provide everything's just some stuff from the district. There are steppers. I know tomorrow I'm doing the Chromebooks and stuff like that, but if you want to go through and check out some of these videos in there, I mean, if you need computer help too, or to getting into classroom, this one I found that was really good. And it was actually kind of like all different parts of how to log into classroom. We don't necessarily need to know the join to login. So if your students were already with us, their classes have already been set for them. So the district already kind of put them in their classroom. They don't need a code to go in. So when they log into classroom.google.com, their classes that they have are already there. So if they do get lost into it, we can just have them rejoin. How to view assignments. I know there's going to be a separate PD on Classroom there. I can give you a little short summary there. How to submit assignments and submit them and unsubmit them. A lot of teachers prefer this way. It can kind of, if you email us the assignments, it kind of gets lost in the mix with all our other emails. And that's kind of the reason for Google Classroom, because everything is a one-stop shop in there and you can kind of keep it all together. So if you go back to the board, I mean, there's even just steppers on how to take, if you need to take a screenshot, if you need to, upload a picture that you didn't, maybe it's written work and you want to take a picture and upload it in there. So there's kind of a lot of things in there. If you've got questions in there, please feel free to reach out to me and you'll see kind of a lot of things in there. Another good place also to kind of know stuff is and I'm not sure if you can you see the Infinite Campus? Or no, did not do that screen. So let me see if I can stop share and share my other screen. So all the kids actually have Infinite Campus if you haven't joined up for that yet. And that is one of the links because you have to put in and create This is what the kids actually see when they log in. This one's actually my daughter, so she's with another district. So I know there was a message actually that came out asking about homerooms. Actually in Google Classroom, and I'm not sure if I can give a student view. I can show you my view in a moment. In their classrooms and in June, all their lists and what teacher they had was posted there. But also actually in this one, if you actually go to their schedule, now my daughter's actually put their school actually was able to put a time in it, but it will let you know who their teachers are for each subject here. So I know I did one as a kid before, and then you will see who their teacher is for their subject. So if you actually don't know who they have at the moment, if you actually go into the Infinite Campus, you can see their schedule. And actually, this is actually good when it comes time and things are getting graded, you can see grades. If the teacher sends any messages through, you can get messages through here. There's announcements that can be put in. So sometimes we've gotten messages. It's kind of like, and it actually the same message goes into an email to you.
Mrs. Goldsmith?
Yes.
I had a question. So we had some parents wondering what their students' login information was. Where would they be able to access that?
All right, so the login information is the same they had last year. So if they forgot it, what I can do is I can actually just share it. But I mean, I would say contact the teacher, or you can contact me because we do have access. I can't publicize that kind of thing for privacy reasons. But the district decided that this year they were not changing the passwords. The only ones that will change, we were told, would be the 5th grade going into 6th grade because that is their norm. But the ones that they used last year, they will use for the first time going in this year. So whatever they had in June, and it'll prompt them to create a new password. And I advise them, make it something that they will remember, write it down, put it in a note, post it somewhere, like make it something that can remember. Because if they forget it, then you'll need to contact me or their teacher, and they will have to reset it so that it kind of gets lost in there. But yeah, they kind of, since we're not in person, they kind of kept everything status quo.
All right. It looks like we answered all of the questions in the chat. Do you mind switching me back over to the host?
Sure.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I got everybody added in here. All right. So I think that's pretty much all of the topics that we had planned for today. We talked about the expectations for virtual learning. We talked about the places where you can go to access different resources and where we're going to be posting information regarding virtual learning. And we also talked about the weekly parent meetings that we are going to be having every Friday. The first one will be taking place this Friday. It will be a meet and greet with your students' teachers, and then it is going to take place every Friday afterwards. The teacher will be determining the time, and you will be getting these either Zoom link or Google Meet code for that. I'm just going to give an overview quickly of the rest of the week, just so that you know what we're going to be talking about in case you have any questions that you want to prepare ahead of time. So tomorrow we are going to be having this meeting at the same time. We're going to be discussing Chromebooks with Mrs. Goldsmith. We're going to be talking about where to get them, how to use them, where to access Chromebook tutorials if you get stuck. We're also going to be discussing Google Classroom, how it's organized, how to use it, what it's going to look like, and that's going to be with Mrs. Eunice, Mrs. Hensley, and Mrs. Watson, and me as well. So we're going to be going over a Google Classroom tutorial and Chromebooks. And on Thursday, we're going to be going over Zoom and Google Meet tutorials and the curriculum that we will be using this school year. So the district has allowed us to use either Zoom or Google Meet, which either we prefer. So your student's teacher will let you know which one they will be using. I'm going to give an overview of both of them, just so you can be familiar where the mute button is, the camera, the chat, all of those features. And then we're going to be talking about the daily schedule. We're going to be walking through it with you. We're going to be discussing what the morning meeting and social emotional learning piece will look like for each of your students. That is something we're going to be implementing school-wide. And we are going to be talking about, as I said, the different curriculum pieces. So what we're going to be using for reading and math and writing and everything else. So the most information we're going to be giving you is Thursday, but I would suggest coming to every day in case a topic gets brought up that we didn't have on the schedule. So are there any other questions before? I'm going to check the chat really quick.
There's one more question about how attendance will be taken.
Yes, how attendance will be taken. That is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So, Mrs. Goldsmith, attendance is still going to be taken through Infinite Campus, correct?
As far as I know, like in the spring, I know with, unfortunately with specialists, we don't, that feature is not with us, but we will have our own attendance within classroom like we did in the spring.
Yes. So that is what we are going to show you tomorrow whenever we introduce Google Classroom. Some of you might have already had experience with Google Classroom if you had a student that attended Jenks in the spring. If not, we'll walk you through it so that it's easy to understand. We will be talking about how we use attendance in Google Classroom. You will not have to enter it into the Infinite Campus.
Now that would be the teacher
That will
job.
be the teacher's
As far as going with middle school, I would say, and even with the 3 to 5, I would say that probably based on, I know the homeroom teacher takes the initial attendance, but I am going to, so that kids don't, make sure that they're on for all their classes. The teachers have to take attendance for every period that they're on with the kids. So there will be some form of attendance taken for each class that they are scheduled for throughout the day.
Yes, unless it's like kindergarten, for example, is going to look a little bit different than that.
Yeah, it would be the ones, especially those that switch teachers. There will be, they'll have to take, there will be attendance taken. And like I said, for the specials as well, we will be taken, attendance will be taken for us.
Yes. I see a couple other questions quickly on here. I want to make sure I get them answered. Will Friday meetings be recorded? That is something that you might want to ask your student's teacher. That will be up to them. And also, we've been looking into recording even the sessions that we have with students, because that is something that a lot of parents liked last year. Was we recorded the sessions so that way we could post them on Google Classroom. If your student couldn't attend one of the sessions, they could go back and rewatch it, or if they needed some clarification. The only issue with that is that we would need to send some sort of form stating that you were okay with your students being recorded. So we will look into that on if the Friday parent meetings will be recorded. Are these meetings all at the same time? Yes, all of the meetings this week are at the same time at 3 o'clock. Access, how do we access these recorded meetings? I'm going to be saving, cutting the recorded messages, and we will be sending them out. I will probably send them to HSA so that they can send them out. We'll also be posting them.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can kind of create a page on the website of
Yeah.
section of the recorded meetings.
That's
so
a good idea.
I can make it one of the tabs at the top, or actually put it underneath the parents. If there's not enough room to make its own little tab at the top, but we can make a link underneath the parents, and maybe just put a link on the front. I'll put a link on the front page that'll direct you right to the page.
Perfect. Okay, so they will be on the school website afterwards. I'm going to try and get them up as soon as I can. Please be patient with me. This is actually my first meeting I've recorded, so I will try my best to get them out as soon as possible. Are these parent sessions mandatory? Unfortunately, they're not mandatory, but we do suggest that everybody can go back and watch them since they will be recorded. I hope that it'll be helpful for everybody so that they'll feel more comfortable during this process. And classroom parents and weekly meetings. Clarification, Roberta? I wasn't sure what you're asking about. Classroom parents and weekly meetings. Is there anything else that I'm missing, Mrs. Goldsmith or Mrs. Moore, that we need to
No,
discuss?
no, actually, I kind of forgot, like on from that bulletin board on the first page, if you go to the second page, there is a lot of Google Classroom links. So if you want to take a look in there prior to the Google Classroom, there's also expectations that just like Ms. Moore was talking about, when you're getting your students set up for virtual learning. I mean, it is, just have them in that mindset. It is school still. I know we're at home, but we're at school and we need to take it seriously and we need to, try our best and we're all doing our best at it. And it's okay that, this is all something new for us.
Yes. Is this the page you were talking about?
I was, yes. And actually, one of the other things I want to add, because you have the whole thing here. So, what's actually going to happen, and hopefully by September 1st, if you want to even scroll down, all the teachers are supposed to be making their own kind of Bitmoji. I don't know if anybody's heard of that classroom page. And these are just going to be pages for you just to refer. It's not going to be part of the lesson per se, unless the teacher decides to do it. But it's kind of where all the links to certain things might be. So instead of going through Classroom trying to find where different links are and how to get to stuff. And I'm sure the teachers will go over that with the students. I mean, I have a page myself and I actually, in mine, and I'm actually going to have a Bitmoji when I go see them for computers. I have one for the K-2 students, the 3 to 5, the 6 to 8, but it's just commonly used sites that we go to so that they're not scrolling through the classroom page all the time. Where do I find the code site? Where do I find the typing site? Where do I find this? Because I found that even when we were in school, because they always did typing the first 10 minutes of class. Well, I can't find the link because it was the first thing we did in the beginning of the year, so it kind of got lost in the stream. So it's just kind of somewhere that'll be right in front on the classroom, and actually, they'll see it in their stream when they go over, when you guys do Google Classroom and you see the classwork at the top, so you can keep certain things right at the top of the page.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but this will give you links to like whether teachers use it for libraries, just common sites that they use, and stuff like that.
So for example, this is the kindergarten one. So we've had some kindergarten parents reach out about the school supply list. So here we have linked the school supply list. If you click on the markers here, it will actually bring you straight to the link. So all you have to do is click on it and it brings you straight to our supply list. So that's kind of how this would work. And like for these, we did just common, like here is Starfall. I put it with the star. This is a game that some of the students like to play that helps with literacy and math. So these are just some examples of why we would use a Bitmoji classroom. It's just a little bit easier to organize some resources and just put them all in one.
Right, it's kind of like a one-stop shop to hopefully
Yeah.
find everything. So we're going to kind of have it all together. At the moment, I just took the first few slides, just so that you have the resources at the moment as the teachers are getting their classrooms together.
Yeah, what we definitely don't want is to overwhelm anybody. We know that we're giving you a lot of information right now. That's why we're trying to collect it and put it all in one place for you instead of just throwing a bunch of resources your way and just saying, here, you can do this, this, this. And then by 1 month in, you're like, I forgot how to get to the supply list, or I forgot how to use this, because there's so many things we've thrown at you. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. That way, if you're looking for something, we can just say, okay, go here. That way it's the same for everybody. It looks like Mrs. Goldsmith linked the website in the chat if you need that.
I'm seeing that once. So what kind of, I guess, middle school question, I guess, do we need to know, I guess, that they're looking to get? I mean, because I'm a little familiar with middle school since I teach middle school. I mean, I teach them the specials, but I'm not sure. I mean, I would say your best bet probably, and she might kill me for this, would probably be Miss Conway. Because she seems to be, yeah. And I would say to email her. So when you go to the faculty list and her email there, she kind of, the mother hen of the middle school.
Yes, and if you do have any specific middle school questions, you can ask them during your weekly question and answer session. You can try and ask them during this week and we will answer them the best that we can for you. But unfortunately, they weren't well, we did include them in the PD, but none of them were able to do it. So we will try and do the best that we can relaying that information to you.
The reach question, that is still being worked out. So we're not sure how that's going to look like virtually at the moment, since a lot of the reach stuff was hands-on.
Yes. Will the syllabus be given so we know what to expect for the week? Yes, we are working on our, we have a day that we're going to be working on our Google Classroom, so that it will all be set up for you ahead of time so you can look at that. And we are also going to be sending out the, what am I trying to say, daily schedule. And those will all be posted on the website. Am I correct? Or we just,
I believe Ms. Linsky is working on the general schedule, and when she has everybody's schedule, she's going to try to put it in one format at least. I mean, and basically what your schedule, just like Ms. Beach showed you, that it should be so that you actually all have like the links to the exact, you know, Zoom, whether it's Zoom or Google Meet, should be embedded in that schedule.
yes.
And I think all the teachers will be providing you with their schedule too. So in the
Yeah.
communications that you're going to have with them at the beginning of the next
Right.
couple
As
of
far
days.
as the meet and greet this week, this Friday, I've asked teachers to get me their info by tomorrow. So hopefully, just like this one was posted, we can have it posted for you so that you know what time on Friday and that you'd have the link. So we're still working on getting everybody's information from us to post.
Yes. Okay, that looks like all the questions. It looks like we did post Mrs. Conway's email. If you do need that, make sure you have that before we end the meeting. All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank you all for your patience. We are trying our very best to get you all the information we can as soon as we can. I know it's very stressful, and I know it can be frustrating not knowing what to expect, and we start school really soon. So we are really doing our best to get it to you as soon as possible. Once we receive the information, it goes straight out to you. So please, if there's anything that you think that we need to improve on, or if you have any questions that need to be answered as soon as possible, please reach out to any of us. We'll be more than happy to answer you as quickly as we can.
I would say one thing also is please make sure that the school has your current information, as for especially phone number and email, so that when we do send out messages, whether it's through a phone link or SIS, that's where the information is coming from. So, you know, make sure we have it, and you can probably at least either get it to your teacher or get it to our secretary so that it can be updated. So that way when things go out, so if you missed a message, it's probably because we don't have the correct phone number or the correct email to go out.
All right. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. We will be here same time tomorrow. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.